Rarely has mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find intelligent species, ritual extraterrestrials, undesirable invaders from another world, must be destroyed if possible in our dark past. Watch and pray.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. Episode 5, we're talking about vampires in history, ancient vampires.
Ancient vampires. We're going to start in ancient times. We're going to go all the way to early modern Europe times. And this is going to be our first two-parter.
Yeah, we're actually really jumping in on a big subject because vampires have been around for forever. Before I forget, because I know I will, I'm Alex Tasker, and this is Nick.
I burnt my tongue on coffee earlier.
Yeah.
And now I can't talk properly.
So just get ready for that for the entire episode.
This is how I'm going to talk the rest of the episode because I can't talk without my tongue on fire.
And my ears are bleeding too, don't you worry. So we are all in this together. But so we're talking vampire, and we're not talking Count Chocula. I mean that was kind of we had to address that for serial goers.
Yeah, I mean, we can do future episodes on Count Chocula. There's a lot to talk about with Count Chocula.
Yeah, actually, he's got a really morbid past, and a lot of
slavery.
Yeah, I was gonna say hate crimes, but that's a little bit more of a blunt way to put it.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, he's related to. Anyways, let's not.
Okay, let's not get into this.
Okay, so we're going back into our podcast time machine yet again. We are going to. So is this all over the place, or is this a centralized idea?
This is going to be all over the place, but we are going to be in Europe mainly.
Okay.
There is going to be a little bit of talks of Australia. We're going back to Australia just for like a quick second.
I think vampires are still in Australia. Like,
they're all vampires over there.
Yeah,
they're all vampires. All right, so let's get into it. And I know normally I do like a quick summary of what we're going to talk about in the beginning of the podcast, but I felt to best sum up what a vampire is, especially to early man. I'm going to use a quote from the famed vampire researcher and thinker John Heinrich Zopfius, and he said, "Vampires issue forth from their graves in the night, attack people sleeping quietly in their beds, suck out all of their blood from their bodies, and destroy them. They beset men, women, children alike, sparing neither age nor sex. Those who are under the fatal malignity of their influence complain of suffocation and a total deficiency of spirits, after which they soon expire. Some who, when asked the point of death, have been asked if they can tell what is causing their disease, replies that such and such persons lately dead have arisen from the tomb to torment them and torture them."
I'm kind of half expecting you to ask me to cut my foot off next.
Do it.
Aw, that's a Clerks reference, actually.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah. Actually, very underrated, I think. But or maybe not. Actually, it was really popular, huh?
It was a cult. It's a cult hit.
Okay.
It's one of those. Yeah, so I would say it's popular with a very niche group of people.
Interesting. So, as your German scientist voice has explained, basically, it looks like when you're attacked by a vampire or something like that, you kind of just like look like you have a disease, or you just look like shit, and then you die, and then you come back from the dead. Is that it?
Yeah. So early men and women. I don't want to be exclusive.
Yeah, we're thinking about everybody here.
Yes, they believed that vampires didn't just suck your blood and kill you, but that they would suck your blood and your life force over a slow period of time, and you would just become sickly over time, like throughout multiple visits from the vampire. Like it was kind of like a nightly, "Hello, is Jonathan there? I need to suck his nightly blood." Like one of those.
He's there in the kitchen.
Oh, is it that time again? You're going to come suck my blood? All right, make it quick. It's like one of those.
Well, I guess it's kind of better because at least you can you got time to try to get him off your ass. Or is it that the minute you get bit by them, you're already doomed to become a vampire after you die, or is it over time you hit that like that threshold point of like, well, now I'm going to be a vampire?
It's a majority of they'll suck your life force and your blood.
Hey.
They'll suck it so deep, and they'll suck you dry.
Oh yeah.
All right. And so what'll happen over time is as they suck you dry,
right. Sometimes on their knees.
So oh God, it's so hot in here.
We've actually been like slowly stripping throughout that whole bit.
They'll kill you over time by sucking your life force, and then when you die, it's possible for you to become a vampire.
Oh, so it's not a 100% thing.
It's not a 100% thing, but it's possible.
Ooh, okay. And that's kind of neat because now you have time to try to fight back and you have time to try to possibly save yourself even.
Yeah, and there are not many ways to defend yourself, but there are ways to defend yourself if you've discovered the identity of a vampire, but we can get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
Probably more so in the next episode.
Yeah. So for all we know, like the guy who does come and suck your blood every week might actually not be a vampire. He just might be really weird.
He's probably just some homeless guy you met behind 7-Eleven, and he's not sucking your blood. I'll tell you that much.
Oh man, how disappointing would that be to be like, yeah, man, I've been getting visited by a vampire. It's like, no, you.
Yeah, he told me that if he let me, if he was allowed to suck my blood, I would become an immortal vampire. And I told him, no, what's happening is he's giving you gum jobs behind 7-Eleven. Know the difference. Save yourself.
If this sounds similar to you, you might be actually being blown by a homeless man.
All right. Well, let's start by saying that in ancient and medieval beliefs of vampires considered them to be bloodthirsty demons. Modern day legends consider the vampire to be neither a demon or a ghost. And we'll talk more about modern day vampires next time, but we're going to kind of talk more about the fact that ancient and medieval beliefs in vampires were more spiritual in nature.
Right. So no Dracula this episode.
Not this episode, but definitely next episode we're going to be talking all about that.
Yeah, no, we'll do a deep dive. I know some of y'all might got a little excited, but no, we're saving good old Bram Stoker for so we could give him the attention he deserves.
Exactly. So whereas ancient and medieval legends saw vampires to be spiritual in nature, modern day legends see them as tangible and having like bodies of their own. Vampires are the living dead, a complete oxymoron in nature. It is the duality that most likely sprouted the first ideas of vampires when early man first noticed the distinct difference between the body and the soul.
Oh, that's actually kind of neat.
It's very interesting. And so, like, for instance, this can be seen in like early practices that were still going on today. For like in the Owembe, one of the Bantu tribes of Zambia, worship deceased relatives and pay their respects by offering them blood. And if the deceased relative believes that the offering was not sufficient, it will cause sickness. But much like the vampires we think of today, taking blood and leaving behind a sickly, rotting victim, that you can see the comparisons between these ancient folklorist traditions of a tribe in Africa, and see the connection between, let's say, the things we're going to talk about in Europe later.
Yeah, when I wondered too, because this was before everything kind of was like, because we live in a globalized world right now where we know everything going on everywhere, basically, as long as there's a computer or a phone. But imagine being just this dude, the travelers going into some society and just seeing like corpses littered around with no blood in them and being like, oh my God, like everything they talked about is real. It wasn't in my hometown. It was in Zambia.
Yeah. And they're like, no, don't worry about that. No, that's just for a sacrifice later. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. And you couldn't Google it. So even if they're like, no, this is part of our like culture. They're like, yeah. I'm gonna, nope.
Culture, huh?
Yeah. Nice excuse.
And now we're going to Australia just for a second. All right. Some Aborigine tribes in Australia believe firmly in the separation of spirit and body and the importance of blood. These tribes believe that the ingestion of human blood by the newly dead among them can help to revitalize the spirit once it has passed on to the other side. So I read that what they will do is once a member of their tribe has died, they will pick somebody to not sacrifice because they're not killing them, but they'll pick somebody to basically bloodlet into this dead person's mouth in order for the dead person to have a successful life in the afterlife, because they believe in the revitalization aspects of blood and how it carries life force.
And we're going to see a lot of that coming back, in that the whole idea of the power of human blood and how it's not just a way to get a disease.
Yeah, or like erect.
Yeah. Though it is very instrumental.
It is.
But yeah, it is interesting though how it's like, and we see this even in like video games, like the potions that heal you tend to be red, or like any sort of health, anything. We have this sort of association with red and blood, and because it's this thing that, keeps us alive because it carries oxygen and all that stuff. But back then, it's just this crazy fluid that exploded out of you when you dropped your halberd on your enemy's head.
Yep. And they didn't think anything twice of it. They were just like, oh, look at this goop. Got it all over me.
That means he's dead. And just a brief side note, I always thought this was interesting, but I don't know how like exclusive this is, but with a lot of like modern day, like, indigenous groups or all that stuff, actually, the word tribe is considered offensive to some because it associates them with tribal or being like...
Oh, brother. Look, all right, I'm not too worried about it because I don't know if they're going to be listening to us.
I'm like, I don't know how far that goes. Like, I just learned that in a class forever ago.
What are we supposed to call them?
I don't know, because if you call them indigenous groups or native people, like... I don't know. I guess it just depends person to person. So if you care about your indigenous, native, whatever people, make sure to ask them.
All right. If there's any Aborigines listening to this, hop on your computer, email me, and let me know what you guys prefer to be called. I apologize if I offended anybody by saying tribe.
No, because also some are no. Like some people have pride about it too. So it can go either way. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
All right, you know what? There's no winning. All right, it's like feminism, right? The second I start, I start trying to like take the good side because I think it's the most progressive thing, I get shot down.
I'm sorry.
There's no winning, and I'm trying. I'm trying my best to be a good person, man.
Dude, you are. This is very, very true.
All right, let's move on before everybody shuts off the podcast.
Yeah, if not already. Which I think we probably were successful in that 2 episodes ago. I think.
Yeah, we've been successful every episode.
Yeah. I think are we at negative followers now? We actually both started listening to other podcasts.
Yeah, and my mom stopped listening too.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So many, many, many countries have their own legends that brought about the legend of vampire as we know it today. And we can go back as far as ancient Mesopotamia, where there were legends of blood-drinking creatures. For instance, Persia is one of the earliest civilizations to acknowledge such creatures. Pottery from their region and era have been found depicting ravenous man-beasts trying to drink the blood of mortal men.
They also can control time there, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an old video game, by the way.
Dude, Prince of Persia was one of my most nostalgic video game experiences because I was a lonely child, and I would just be playing Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, and crying in between levels.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to not grow up a lonely child anymore,
Yes, especially with video games. Like, it's right there.
It's just so easy. But were there any bloodletting vampires in Prince of Persia?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Yeah, well,
they missed the boat.
Yeah, or we just got to play it again.
Yeah. Ancient Babylonia. Ancient Babylonia.
Sorry.
Had the legend of Lilitu.
Went full Midwest on that one.
Ancient Babylonia had the legend of Lilitu, who would soon become Lilith in Hebrew texts. That's where I'm sure many people have heard of Lilith, the alternative, the Adam's first bride.
The anti-Eve.
Yes, exactly. And, like in these ancient texts, and Lilitu from Babylonia is where that sprouts from.
Ooh, there's so many Binding of Isaac characters in this right now.
You're going to be taking a trip down. We're both
kind of hitting nostalgia. Yeah. God, I love that game. I still play it.
Lilith was described in medieval texts to be the first wife of Adam from the Bible and sustained her life by drinking the blood of babies. Not just people, but babies.
And Is that why she didn't end up canon as Adam's wife?
Yeah, I think that the people trying to push Christianity thought that might have looked bad.
Yeah, possibly.
But what confuses me is they let the whole Old Testament slide. There's much worse.
Yes. And I just think it's funny too. So you meet a girl, she's super nice, she's very cool. You have a lot in common. And then she comes up to you and says, "Hey, I've been doing this new treatment where I get tiny infants and I, just snap them open and suck them down like they're Go-Gurt. You in?"
Oh, I'm in for that. Go ahead and grab me one of them babies real quick.
If you're okay with 40 plus years in prison, sure, but you might want to avoid that. That might not be a good situation you want to be in.
Let me ask you this. What is 40 years in prison if you gain immortality by eating a bunch of babies?
Or you get sickle cell disease.
Oh, yeah.
At least I think that's what causes it. I know is that hemophilia or something like that?
I know that there's a lot of things that could happen if you drink people's blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could get AIDS. You could probably just get nauseous.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, I just Googled that. Hemophilia is that thing where your blood no longer clots. So if you're bleeding, GG.
That sucks.
Yeah.
What do? Slap a Band-Aid on it and cross your fingers?
Yeah. And if it's really bad, you'll just bleed out from a tiny cut. It's a very, very serious disease.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's move to ancient Greece.
Yay.
So ancient Greece had their fair share of vampiric legends, most notably that of, now I have never heard anybody say this before, so I'm going to just be guessing. All right. Empusa. I'm going to go with Empusa.
Yeah, that's the other one sounds like a slang sex term.
Empusa. Empusa was the daughter of the goddess. Now, I haven't heard this one either. All right. Now, believe it or not, guys, I am not a history major. Is it Hecate?
Part of me wants to pronounce it like you would Tecate.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
I think it's Hecate.
Hecate. I'm going to go with that. I like that.
Let's say Hecate. All right. Empusa was the daughter of the goddess Hecate. And she was a shapeshifter who was known to take the form of an attractive young woman in order to seduce men and drink their blood while they slept.
Sounds like your relationship.
It's a lot like all of my relationships, actually. Is that why I'm tired all the time?
Are you having any weird markings over you that you're not catching or?
Yeah, I got something on my foot, but I think that's ringworm.
Whole different situation. Yeah. So it could be that.
You're not my doctor? Can I show it to you real quick?
Yeah, let's see it.
What do you how does this look to you? Does that look all right? It's just like a ring, you know what I mean?
I've seen worse things in life, but that's something I would choose to forget if I could.
Okay, so no prescription?
No.
Alrighty.
So anyways.
And what I find really interesting about the vampires in ancient Greece is a lot of them had to do with the gods and goddesses. And I think that's really cool because I've always been a fan of
like Greek mythology.
Yeah, ancient mythology, like Greece and Rome, Norse especially, and there's so many vampire tales or vampiric type creatures in those societies that tie into the gods and goddesses. Yeah,
and I've noticed too. There's a lot. I think Greek mythology has a lot more of a popular appeal because it's one of the few. I don't even know if you would call it a religion, but it has that sort of where the people involved are not infallible. Like there's a sort of gods are just shitty people with a ton of power that got shitty because they have a ton of power. And, it's just a lot more fun to listen to that. Whereas you watch something about an absolute power or anything like that. That's like if in One Punch Man, if Saitama was just a basic protagonist, that would be boring. It'd just be okay, he just wins everything. But no, it's
but that's what the show's about. He just wins everything.
Yeah, but he's depressed because he wins all the time. And that's why it's entertaining.
Oh, he's depressed because he wins all the time. Guess what? I'm depressed because I'm losing all the time. All right. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you didn't get your own anime.
Yeah, I can't just punch somebody in my life as, like everything that I need it to be. Where's my anime adaptation? God damn it.
Oh, no. Hey, you know what? Maybe we can use this as a platform to pitch that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, there we go. An anime about losing. Anyways, I'm almost going to start crying.
All right, now let's go to the early modern era of Europe. And that is where we get a lot of the legends and tales that we associate with vampires when we think about them today, indefinitely. So when you hear about staking a vampire, garlic, all kinds of stuff like this,
Yeah.
Early modern Europe is where we get these legends from that have just stuck.
Okay, yeah, because the European it's like the Beatles of vampire.
It's like the Beatles of vampires. Very popular, horrible haircuts, and very tight-fitting suits.
Yes, a lot of that. But yeah, we're now in, because after this is what really created like the modern conception of what we consider to be a vampire. Because like a lot of really, especially pop culture, like creatures and stuff, like Frankenstein's monster, any of that stuff. That's right, Frankenstein's monster. I did it. I said it right.
You said it right, and I didn't have to correct you like an asshole.
Yeah, no, it felt great, dude. I feel so light and like liberated.
Actually, it's Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein was the doctor, actually.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh man, I'm glad we were able to address that because I know everyone's thinking it, and I just, like I said, I feel great. But yeah, so this is the sort. So we're moving into closer to what we know as a vampire today.
Yes, and the legends began in southeastern Transylvania.
Oh.
Then made their way to Western Europe and the UK, which is where they became more well-known. Although I don't want to just skip over like Transylvania and Romania and stuff because we'll talk more about that next episode. With Vlad Dracul, somebody that I'm sure a lot of our listeners know about because. Oh, yeah. He's kind of badass. You know what I mean? Like in the worst way possible.
Oh, yeah. It's great to read about him, but dude, I would not want to be alive while that guy was in power.
Nope. Hell no. Now, one more popular case that took place in early modern Europe was that of Peter Blagojevich. That was it.
Wow.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who was a man living in the village of Kisilova, Serbia. He died in 1725, but soon after his death, other mysterious deaths began taking place throughout the village. After only 8 days, 9 people had suddenly died. Some of the victims stated that they were attacked by Peter during the night.
Yikes. Sounds like my last apartment complex.
Oh, are you trying to sleep right now? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Peter. No, don't. Go back to bed. Go back to bed.
Peter, go away.
No, just go back to bed, but show your neck for me just a little bit. Let me see your neck.
Oh, you did it too fast. Do it a little slower next time.
Yeah, no, now strip.
Once again, could just be the homeless guy.
It's probably just some homeless guy living in Serbia.
Yeah, exactly.
His wife even claimed to have been visited by him in the night, only to ask for her for his shoes.
So he had a foot fetish.
It was his shoes that I think he left when he died.
Okay, okay, I totally misheard that. I thought you meant he asked for her shoes.
Hey, honey, I know you're sleeping right now, and I've been dead for like 8 days, but have you seen my Crocs?
I really miss them, and also too, can you just like step on me a couple of times, just for old time's sake.
Put my shoes on and step on my balls.
That's exactly how it happened. We have a reliable source.
And after that little encounter, she promptly moved to another town. She did.
I wonder why.
After enough time, the villagers all got together and decided to dig up Peter's body in order to determine if there were indeed any signs of vampirism. If there was any fuckery going about.
Mm-hmm. Lots of fuckery.
Once they got permission to do so, the villagers had Peter's body exhumed, and what do you know? There were indeed signs of vampirism with his corpse. Following, the body was not decomposed despite Peter being dead for almost 2 weeks at this point.
Oh, jeez.
Peter's hair, beard, and nails were grown out, which has been debunked.
Yeah, that just happens.
It just happens, like your skin recedes, right, or something like that. I mean, that explains the fingernails. I'm not sure how the beard growing out is explained.
I think it's because, and this is me just like spitballing, but I think it's because what causes your hair to grow isn't necessarily what the body doesn't use the same function to keep your hair growing as it does to keep your heart beating per se. So I don't think it requires any like blood and stuff. So I think it's kind of more of a slower crawl for that to decay.
Interesting.
I don't know. I have not researched that at all, but
That would be awesome if I could die and like 8 days later have a bigger beard.
I know, right? Dude, bury me with my beard oil.
Yeah, and my comb. And last and definitely most disturbing, blood was seen in and around his mouth. Fresh blood.
Oh.
As if he was sucking blood.
Not something you want to see from that grave you just opened up.
No, definitely not good. After seeing this, the villagers were actually more angry than scared and just started beating the shit out of Peter's corpse.
Old times were so metal. Like,
yes, they were metal, dude.
Nobody was scared of anything, and they just got more mad than frightened.
Dude, they were just like, I don't like being tricked by this motherfucker. Somebody get me a steak.
And they didn't even have any definite proof. They're just like, you think he's kind of being a vampire? I think he's kind of being a vampire. So what should we do? Let's beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, what do you think we're going to do? Sit here and watch him?
Oh, my God. So they whacked the shit out of him.
They whacked the shit out of him. They drove a stake through the heart, which caused fresh blood to pour out of his ears and mouth. As if it was, but it's kind of like as if his heart was still pumping blood throughout his body, but we've determined that they're the living dead. They don't, so that's probably fake.
Yeah. So is this a written story, or is this something that quote unquote actually happened?
This is actually a well-documented case as it could be for like the early 1700s
right.
of vampirism. Like
right.
It was actually like documented by the mayor because they had to ask the mayor for permission to dig up the body and all kinds of stuff. So this is actually documented that these things happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so the whole stake through the heart thing is kind of just it was just not a fluke, but somebody was just like, and let's fucking stake him in the heart too.
Yeah, just be sure. Let's just fucking do it, guys. All right, somebody go sharpen me a piece of wood.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I'm gonna go Buffy on his ass.
and then by doing that, they realized that's what actually killed. So actually, the ultimate vampire murder weapon was discovered by accident.
Yes, because they were just mad. They were just mad at a corpse.
Oh wow!
And then after they staked his heart, they burned the corpse, never to be tortured by Peter again.
So the sightings ended after all that. Huh?
They did, yes, because they double tapped him. They stabbed him right in the heart, and then they burned him just for good measure. And there are also stories of similar things happening to people suspected of being vampires, digging up graves, staking them. But then in between staking and burning them, they'll cut their heads off as well. They'll decapitate them. But they didn't do that to Peter, but apparently it worked.
Yeah, they didn't do that to Dio either. They just let him out into the sunlight.
Yeah, you know what, dude? That's the only anime reference I'm going to support.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Actually, no, they did. His head was cut off. It was obliterated, actually. No, his whole body was split in half. So technically his head was off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't remember. But that is the end of part 1 for historic vampires.
Right.
Just like a little rundown. We did just little quick things here and there of going back from ancient Mesopotamia all the way up to early modern Europe. And we're going to stay mostly in early modern Europe for the next episode because that's when, like I said earlier, a lot of these legends that we know of today originated from. And there's some really interesting cases out there. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. And I think that's everything except for... this is why it's bullshit.
Oh, here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Strap on.
We, back then, of course, as we discussed, a lot of stuff was left undocumented, and a lot of paranormal stuff could just be could have been just like a homeless guy who just kind of looked like Peter. And, in the middle of the night, I'm a little groggy.
You're like, hey, you guys got any extra blood I could use? My blood doesn't work very well.
And also, too, it makes sense. You go, but he just maybe happens upon Peter's house, and maybe coincidentally, he just, drunk, angry homeless man, hey, give me your shoes.
Hey,
like,
you got any extra shoes I can use?
And maybe he would like when he realized that they found the corpse of this guy, and because I think he figured out that people were blaming it on his undead corpse, and when they staked and burned it, scared him off. Maybe.
Yeah, he's just watching the villagers from a bush, like this homeless guy. He's like, all right, well, these guys are pretty mad at that dead body, so maybe I should skedaddle so they don't do that to me.
Yeah, and I'll be alive through the whole procedure. Oh man, but this is gonna be a light bullshit one because we're doing a big episode of it. We're gonna cover all this. So
yeah, wait till you hear all of it. Wait till you hear all the cool shit. I, for one, believe. I don't know if I 100% believe in vampires, but I want to believe so goddamn bad because, dude, there's nothing cooler than vampires, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. There's that age-old question of, is becoming a vampire worth it? And
yes.
It kind of, honestly, like immortality, it sounds kind of dope. I watched what is it? Is it What We Do in the Shadows?
I think so. Is that the one with the Flight of the Conchords guys?
Yeah,
I think so.
I see that, and I'm like, dude, like, yeah, that sounds great. You just live like 900 years. You just gotta avoid sunlight, which I do anyways.
Yeah.
You just gotta do. I mean, the drinking blood thing kind of sucks, but like,
hey, you know what? Blood's not that bad.
It's just metal though. You're just, I guess you can like finesse it, add a little something to it.
Add some Clamato juice,
Yeah.
maybe some vodka.
Yeah. Oh, I think
Then it's
vodka,
a real Bloody Mary.
Yeah. Oh. See, now we're talking about the shit that we need to talk about.
Yes. Now we're coming up with recipes and shit.
Yeah, and I think that's something, so supposedly we do figure out that vampirism is something we can do. And if we, as running this podcast, if we find a way to become vampires, we're going to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down. If we drop off the face of the earth and we never put out another episode again without at least warning, it's because we became vampires.
Or the podcast just never ends and your children are listening to us and they're like, how are these guys still doing it?
Yeah, and they still sound so young and vigor and full of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's because we're immortal now.
Exactly. But yeah, and with all that time that we have, we can, actually perfect our blood cocktails and maybe even start a YouTube channel on it.
Yeah, what would it be called?
I think just Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary does sound pretty good.
Yeah, Bloody Mary cocktails and more.
Yeah, Bloody Mary cocktails and pig weenies.
Yeah. Or is there a male equivalent to Mary? Is there like a
Bloody Mark?
Bloody
Mark?
It doesn't have as good of a ring.
Nah, Bloody Mary's gonna have to be it.
Yeah. But yeah, if you have any ideas on how to cocktail your blood, let us know on our social media everythings.
Yes. So we, like we said last week, we do have a Twitter and an Instagram now.
Yeah. CEO TPK. Just think CEO of a company and then just throw 3 more letters after it.
Yeah. So whatever makes it not complicated. And I know that it's a whole abbreviation, but guys, this is a long podcast name. So that's what we got.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm still trying to when we work with the files, we abbreviate everything. So I just look at it as like CEO TPK.
CEO TPK.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
Siopka. Sopka.
Yeah, whichever one of those works for you guys to help remember it.
I'm not in charge of how your inner monologue goes, so you do whatever feels good to you.
Yes, and hopefully at this point, you guys are listening to us on iTunes and Spotify.
Yeah, that would be amazing, because we are not there while this is being recorded, but while you're listening to it, because time is a construct invented by humanity.
It's fake.
Yeah, it's not real. You could be enjoying us while we are reaping the fruits of our success.
Yeah. So basically what that means is we're waiting to see if our offensive jokes have not landed us spots on those 2 platforms.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty good about scaling back.
We've been scaling back. We've been taking shit out.
Yeah. And some edgelords are going to be like, no, you guys aren't even edgy at all and stuff. To which we say, don't test us. We want to stay online.
Yes. Look, as much as I want to let freedom ring, I can't. There's some things I got to cut out of the podcast. So, but thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of Historic Vampires.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do more deep dives on all your favorites. I think now actually Count Chocula is a lot more on the table than he was before, so we can see where that's going. figure out, all that fun stuff and all the modern conventions that we know and understand, and from when you just watch Castlevania on Netflix.
Yep, and that's what we're here for, guys. So please have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
I want to suck your dick.
Dick.